In this video, we're going to be looking at inference verbal reasoning questions. Some of this material has been taken from our verbal reasoning books, which you can find linked in the video description alongside a free PDF with 20 questions for you to practice after this video. So let's get into it. These questions are about extracting information and using it to answer a given question. You'll be given a few sentences which will contain most of the information you need to answer the question. So inference is in a nutshell forming conclusions based on information. So let's read this through. There are 4 weeks in June. Olivia's family are going on holiday 1 week in June. Olivia and her brother do not finish school until the 2nd week of June. Olivia's father only has to work for the 1st week of June and is fishing with his friend in the 3rd week. Olivia's mother has to work 2 weeks in June. One of these weeks must be the 2nd week. In which week can they take their family holiday together? It's quite a straightforward question. All we need to do is we're trying to work out which week they're going to take their family on. It's going to be one of 4 weeks. So you've got 1st week, 2nd week, 3rd week and 4th week. Let's look at the steps to work this question out. So you read the information you've been given and use this information to answer the question. You have to think about the question that's actually asking. So in this case, they're asking which week the family can go on holiday together. Then you've got to write or find the information that is relevant and write it out or underline it. You probably won't have time to write all of it out. Olivia and her brother do not finish school until the 2nd week of June, so that's an important point there. So father has to work for the 1st week in June. Father is away fishing in the 3rd week. That rules out the first and 3rd weeks. Then mother is working in the 2nd week and one other week. So because mother has to work in the 2nd week, that rules out your 2nd week, but then she could also work on the 1st week, 3rd week or 4th week. Obviously it makes sense for her to work on the 1st or 3rd week, and then we've only got 1 week left. In this case, a table makes sense as a way to answer the question, but there's different methods for different inference questions. There are 4 weeks in June. You can see we've shown the week numbers, and then we've got some statements here to explain why we've put a cross through each of them. And then we've got one where everyone is free. So that's this is an X, 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 and then Y. Everyone is free. So week 4 is our answer. Let's look at some questions that were made specifically for this video. This is quite a common thing, an age question, an age problem. You can see the method will be slightly different for how we deal with this. Abby, Brian, Charlotte, David and Ellie are siblings. Abby is younger than Charlotte and Ellie. Brian is older than Ellie and Ellie is older than Charlotte. David is younger than Charlotte. Which of these statements is definitely true? So in this case, there might be different conclusions that we come to or possibilities, but we only need to match it to one of these statements. So the first statement is Abby is the younger sibling. B, Brian is the elder sibling. C, David and Abby are the same age. D, Ellie is the 3rd youngest. And E, Brian could be the same age as Charlotte. So let's look through each of these statements and work out where we put people. So Abby is younger than Charlotte and Ellie. So immediately I'm going to represent Abby with an A, and then Brian with a B, Charlotte with a C, David with a D and Ellie with an E. And it says Abby is younger than Charlotte and Ellie, so I'm just going to put Charlotte and Ellie above somewhere. We can reorder them at this later stage, but at the moment they're sort of floating around in the ether up here. So, and then Abby is clearly at the bottom as far as we know. Then it says Brian is older than Ellie. And Ellie is older than Charlotte. So what that tells me is Ellie we can place above Charlotte. So we'll get rid of that. And we'll put Ellie older than Charlotte. And then we can put Brian older than Ellie. So Brian's going to be at the top like that. David is younger than Charlotte. So David is clearly going to be down here. Notice that I haven't put David, I put David and Charlotte, David and Abby sort of together, because I don't know whether they're the same age. I don't know whether David's younger than Abby. I don't know whether David's older than Abby. I just know that he's younger than these three here. So, if you notice here, it says which of these statements is definitely true, not might be true. And that's quite an important point. So, Abby is the younger sibling. That could be true, but it's not definitely true. Brian is the elder sibling. This is true. So that's going to be our statement. That's correct. So that's actually going to be true. David and Abby are the same age. We don't know that for certain, so it's not definitely true. It could be true. Ellie is the third youngest. We know that's not true because Ellie is not the third youngest. She's got to be the second youngest. No, second eldest. And then Brian could be the same age as Charlotte. That's not true because Brian has to be older than Charlotte if Ellie's older than Charlotte and then Brian's older than Ellie. So that explains that. So we can say for certain that B is the answer. Notice that even though I thought I found the correct answer pretty quickly, it was obviously B. I spent a bit more time just going through each of the statements just to double check. Okay, so let's read through question 2. So we've got Alex, Brenda, Cupid, Dell and Emma going dancing. Alex likes acro, bachata and disco. Brenda likes bachata and Cuban salsa. Cupid likes acro, bachata and Cuban salsa. Dell likes bachata, Cuban salsa, disco and East Coast swing. Emma likes acro, disco and East Coast swing. Which type of dance should they do together that would favour the greatest number of people? So we could use a table method to work this out. You've got Alex. So again, I'm going to represent each of these people with letters. So I've got Alex, Brenda, Cupid, Dell, and Emma going dancing. And then what we can do is we can represent each dance style with letters as well. So we have bachata, well we've got acro, bachata, Cuban salsa, disco and East Coast swing. So again, we've got an ABCD sort of situation. What we're going to do is we're going to go through each statement again. So Alex likes acro, bachata and disco. Alex likes acro, bachata and disco. So I'm just going to put some ticks there. Brenda likes bachata and Cuban salsa. So Brenda likes bachata and Cuban salsa. So I'm going to put 2 ticks in there. Cupid likes acro, bachata and Cuban salsa. Cupid likes acro, bachata and Cuban salsa. Then we've got Dell. So Dell likes bachata, Cuban salsa, disco and East Coast swing. So we can tick those. Dell is not fussy. Emma likes acro, disco and East Coast swing. So acro, disco and East Coast swing. And here you can see, if you look at each of these styles of dance, so you've got 2 there for East Coast swing, you've got 3 for disco, you've got 3 for Cuban salsa, you've got 4 for bachata, and you've got 3 for acro. So as I have the most ticks in bachata, the answer will be B. So there might be other ways of doing this question, but that's how I've chosen to do it. Pick a method that works for you. So let's look at the third question. You've got Mia, Liam, Olivia, Ethan and Lily setting up a book club. Mia loves romance and fantasy, but isn't fond of scary books. Liam doesn't mind what he reads, as long as it isn't romance. Olivia loves fantasy and thrillers, but is not fond of romance. She likes crime, but not horror. Ethan enjoys a sense of mystery in books, but he doesn't like fantasy. Lily is not a fan of fantasy or romance books and despises horror. If they need to pick 2 genres, which will be the least appealing combination? So in this question, because we're looking for the least appealing combination, we're actually looking for crosses if we were to do use the table method, which I think makes a lot of sense for this. So now I've got my names up here. So I've got Mia, Liam, Olivia, Ethan and Lily. This time, because I've got Lily and Liam, I thought it was probably worth writing those out because they both begin with L. That could be a little confusing. And then I've got my different genres on the left side. So I've got romance, crime, horror, thriller and fantasy, which you can also get from the answers here. So the possible statements, you've got romance and crime, thriller and crime, horror and romance, thriller and horror, crime and fantasy. So we're just going to look for the most crosses. I'm not really that interested in ticks, so because it's about the least appealing. So we've got Mia. We'll put ticks in anyway though. So Mia loves romance and fantasy. So let's put a tick there. So we've got romance, fantasy, but isn't fond of scary books. So I think that pretty much rules out horror. Like crime, wouldn't exactly describe it as scary, maybe to some people. Thriller, also could be scary, but probably isn't. You've got Liam. Liam doesn't mind what he reads, as long as it isn't romance. So we can just put a nice little cross through romance and then tick everything else. He likes everything. And then we've got Olivia. Olivia loves fantasy and thrillers, but is not fond of romance. So put a cross through Olivia, through romance there, and she loves fantasy and thrillers. So we can tick that and fantasy. These don't really matter. Ethan enjoys a sense of mystery in books, but he doesn't like fantasy. So we're going to cross through fantasy. Now, I think all of them could potentially have a sense of mystery. So I'm just going to tick them all. And then we have Lily. Lily is not a fan of fantasy or romance books and despises horror. So she's quite fussy. So we can put a cross through romance. She doesn't like fantasy either, so we can put a cross through that. And then we've also got her not liking horror, so we can put a cross through there. So we've ended up with our crosses. If we had romance and crime, we're just going to count them up roughly. So romance and crime, we have 3 dislikes in total. So we've got 3 dislikes. 3. And then thriller and crime. Thriller and crime, we have no dislikes. So it's not that. Then horror and romance, we have 5 dislikes. Then thriller and horror, we have 2 dislikes. And then crime and fantasy, we have 2 dislikes. So our most logical answer is probably C. Horror and romance would be the least appealing combination. You can see that inference questions require a lot of thought. They can vary quite a lot in terms of the content that they include and also the methods that you use to get to the answer. I know some students that can just look at an inference question, read the information there and can instantly know which is the most logical answer. But sometimes you might have to write some things down just to get to the answer quickly. I hope you found that useful. Don't forget you can download the free 20 question PDF via the link in the description, as well as a copy of the full verbal reasoning books. To watch another verbal reasoning video, click on one of these boxes and don't forget to like and subscribe.